the primary sex organ in males, right? This is where the gametes are going to be produced, haploid gametes. And as far as the testes, some of the main structures you need to remember are going to be the seminiferous tubules. Right, so those seminiferous tubules are where
the white lines?
It's actually going to be the little red lines.
Okay.
Right, the white lines are part of those fibrous membranes that divide the testes into the lobes. Right. So as those as the sperm cells are produced within the seminiferous tubules, once they're done being produced there, which means they complete meiosis, they get moved into the epididymis, right, which the epididymis is just going to be outside of the testes. And this is where they're going to be stored and where they'll develop the ability to swim. Right? Now, during an ejaculation from the epididymis, the sperm cells are going to get moved through the vas deferens. And then keep in mind that vas deferens is housed within the spermatochore, along with the blood vessels. So you would technically see the spermatochore in the external aspect here. And then as it made its way back into the abdominal cavity, that's where you end up seeing the vas deferens again, right? Along with the blood vessels moving in. Now the canal that they pass through here would be the inguinal canal. So if you continue to follow that vas deferens, it's going to go around the posterior aspect of the bladder and into the seminal vesicles. Those seminal vesicles begin to secrete seminal fluid, which starts to produce and mix with the testes to make the semen. Right? But there's still a few things we have to add. Right? As you're passing through the seminal vesicles, you go into the ejaculatory duct. That ejaculatory duct then makes its way down into the prostate. And you see the prostate gland here. Right? As I remove this, on the prostate, you see this little branch there. Right? That's a branch of the ejaculatory duct. Right? Now at this point, the prostate will begin to add its secretions. Right? Like, citrate, sperm activating enzyme, right? Some of those things. And you continue to mix it all together to form that semen. Also through the prostate is where you're going to have the prostatic urethra. And this is the part of the urethra that extends from the base of the urinary bladder. Right? So here's the bladder. This is the prostatic urethra moving down. Right? So basically that ejaculatory duct ends up being dumped into that prostatic urethra. From there you proceed to the membranous urethra, which is going to pass through the floor of the pelvis here. And this is where the bulbourethral glands are going to secrete their cleansing mucus to clean out the spongy urethra. The spongy urethra then passes through the corpora sponginosum within the shaft of the penis. And again, during the ejaculation, the sperm cells and the semen now will be propelled out of this spongy urethra, out of the glans penis, and deposited into the vagina. Right, so now, as those sperm cells begin to swim up, they initially move into the uterus via the cervix. Right, so the entrance to the opening to the uterus would be that cervix there. From there, you pass into the actual uterus. Keep in mind the uterus, the two main layers we focused on were the endometrium, which is the innermost lining, right? Where you have your simple columnar epithelium. This is where you would see that stratum functionalis and the stratum basalis, and this is where implantation would also occur. Superficial to that, you would see the second layer, which is the myometrium. Right? And this myometrium contains smooth muscle, which will be used for contractions to expel the baby during labor. So, sperm cells keep swimming through this uterus. Eventually they get to the uterine tubes. The uterine tubes are here. As they swim up, during ovulation, the ovary will release an oocyte. The fimbriae here would draw that oocyte into the uterine tube. So as it gets drawn into the uterine tube, it's going to start making its way down that tube. The sperm cells are swimming up. So typically they're going to encounter each other here in the uterine tube, and that's typically where fertilization would occur. Right? After fertilization, that zygote will then make its way back down the uterine tube into the uterus, where it then implants in the endometrium. And then you continue to develop that. Now, once again, so you don't confuse it, here is the urinary bladder, and here is the female urethra. Right? No connection whatsoever to the reproductive structures. Right?
And the labian?
The labia majora and minora are what you're seeing here. Right? Okay. So this is the minora, this is the majora, right? And then there's the glans clitoris right there as well.
Okay.
What is that blue